3.
All right, here we are with Grayson Grundhafer. It's an off week for Baylor, but the coaches have been on the road throughout the week, and they're out. Of course, games throughout the state of Texas, even the one we have between Midway and DeSoto. This game here will have a handful, if not a dozen or so, Division I type players with the DeSoto roster. How good, in fact, a running back that's committed to Oregon. Grayson, they're all over the place, right? Where are they? Do you know?
Oh, sorry.
Over the place. And don't forget, you also mentioned DeSoto. I mean, Devin Bobby, the Baylor commit,
absolutely,
plays for DeSoto as well. So a lot of talent on that DeSoto team. And as far as the Baylor coaches go, I mean, so let's just go through the first part of this. Their priority during this bye week was making sure they went and saw every single commit in the 2022 class. So, I mean, Baylor has commits in Oklahoma, Missouri, Colorado, Texas. So lots of visits, lots of different traveling and things like that. And then, you know, from that, there's a lot of coaches recruiting their area and also coaches recruiting their position. So it's kind of a mix and match. Obviously, if your area happens to also have one of the commits or one of the high priority prospects, then, you know, that coach will go see that prospect, such as, you know, Joey McGuire went and saw Tyler Jordan up in Lubbock Cooper. On his way back, he went to Post and saw Isaiah Crawford, a 2023 commit. Both are linebackers. Both are guys he was very influential in their recruitment. So it's been things like that. They're just trying to make sure that they can see as many prospects as possible. But again, the commits are the priority during the bye week.
Grayson, what do you think the focus has to be in well, I guess they're not really, I guess they are. It's October. They're in the home stretch right now of the home stretch of recruiting.
Yeah, I mean, so it's become pretty obvious that the defensive line is an area they would like to address. They actually just put out a 2022 offer a few days ago to Paul Oyewale out of Langham Creek High School. So another defensive line offer goes out. They're still recruiting Calvin Jenkins out of Mississippi and Devontae Tizino, who actually goes to Killeen Ellison. So those three defensive linemen, they're still recruiting all three, and now it's just a matter of, you know, do they take one? Do they take two? They probably have 2 or 3 spots left in the class. So I think they'll probably take one of those 3 is what it's looking like, hopefully, if they can land one. And then I think the other area is cornerback. Currently, Reggie Bush is the only commit in the class at cornerback position. So they'd like to add another one if possible. The top prospect currently is Clean Shoemaker's Kamari Terrell, who they've been recruiting for a while now. So I would say those 2 positions they're definitely going to address, and then maybe they'll have one more available for a best available type. Maybe one of those 4 guys I mentioned, or who knows, maybe a high priority prospect that they're able to land as the season goes on and they keep winning.
Grayson, have you been able to get any type of reaction or feedback from some of these recruits, whether committed or otherwise, on the season Baylor's having thus far, being 6-1, and just your own thoughts? I mean, here we are in the open week. They're 6-1. They're bowl eligible. They're right there in the thick of the Big 12. Your thoughts and what you may have heard from some prospects, because obviously last year there wasn't a whole lot to glom onto, but this year a big turnaround.
Yeah, definitely. I think from recruits' perspective first, I think really they get the best sense when they actually show up on campus. And Baylor's been able to get many of their high priority prospects on campus for games, so they're able to see the environment, see the atmosphere, see Baylor win football games. And I think that's been really helpful. And I would say the things I keep hearing are more about, okay, the atmosphere is great, and the things they're seeing on the field are great. So obviously Baylor's defense has been really good. That's not surprising from last year. I think every recruit knew Baylor was going to play good defense. So most defensive prospects were already really excited with the possibility of playing for Dave Aranda and knowing that he's a defensive guru. But I think it's the other side of the ball where I'm probably hearing the biggest shift. You know, you're hearing offensive linemen really excited with the dominant performance the Baylor offensive line is having. When you're running for 300 yards in a conference game, that just wasn't happening at all last year. They were lucky to run for 300 yards the entire season. So I would say that's where you're hearing it a lot. And then obviously I think quarterbacks and receivers and running backs are just happy with the scheme, happy with the simple fact that there's stats to be put up, there's offense that's moving the football, they're scoring. And I think Jeff Grimes' offense is one that's very appealing to recruits. And so I continue to hear that quite a bit.
Grayson, with what you've seen, with what they've done with the running game, and what we've seen with Abram Smith, he's a senior, but I believe he has a year left, unless I'm wrong, because he was injured early on as well. And hell, I don't even know anymore because there's the freebie year, there's the mulligan year, there's the redshirt year. But with what you know from Jenkins, the running back out of Lindale, and what he does, is he just even more now a perfect fit with what they're going to do in the future or what they're doing right now?
Yeah, I mean, Jordan Jenkins is a young guy, so I mean he's got a lot of years left, and there's guys ahead of him that are hungry to get on the field as well. I mean, you're talking about Tay McWilliams, who, frankly, during his time that he's been in games, I mean, he's looked extremely impressive. He's a guy who, if someone, heaven forbid, got hurt or injured, I think he's definitely the guy they would lean on. But I do think in the future, maybe the next year, because I mean, I've heard great things about what Jordan does, and Jordan's size, his strength, his power. You saw it at Lindale. His ability to, get the ball 40 plus times some games and not wear down is something they need in this offense, which is why Abram is playing running back. They needed a guy like that, a guy who was going to get them positive yardage and could take on 30 carries if need be. So, yeah, I think Jordan's a perfect fit. I think Tay McWilliams is another guy, like I said, to look forward to. And, guys like Quaylon Jones and Jonah White and, of course, Squirrel Williams, they're going to be in the mix as well. So it's a very talented room and one that I think has a very high ceiling going forward, especially in this wide zone offense. And I'll also say, guys, I mean, I don't know if you've seen the stats for the Baylor commit in this class, Richard Reese out of Belleville. But don't sleep on him either. He's a guy who has been absolutely terrific. He's averaging 12 yards a carry and has 20 touchdowns in 7 games.
Yeah, he was a great interview. We enjoyed the heck out of having him in on the show back when he committed to Baylor as well. Grayson Grundhafer, Sikkim365.com with us. It's an off week, but it's not an off week. There are coaches all over the country as well. Grayson, the team, when you look at the health of it, when you look at where they are, when you look at what the expectations were, they're bowl eligible. Your thoughts about as they get this off week and then move into the next part of their schedule as well with Texas in a week from tomorrow.
Yeah, I'd like to say the bye week came at the worst time just because they've had a lot of momentum. But then on the flip side, I sit here and look at their schedule and I go, okay, maybe it came at the perfect time because there are a lot of battles that are about to come up the rest of this season. I mean, you're talking about games against Texas, TCU, Oklahoma, Kansas State, and Texas Tech. I mean, that's a tough schedule to end the season. And I think this Baylor team, the bye week came at the right time. They look healthy, but I think they could get even healthier. I think that coming at the middle of the season is kind of perfect. You get to get your young guys some reps, and you get to kind of see what you have with those guys heading into the final stretch of the season. So, it's been a great year. I think there's a lot left to prove and a lot left to do this season. They're 6-1, but I know they're hungry for more. This is a team that feels like they can compete and win a Big 12 championship. In order to do that, they're going to have to put together quite a few wins to finish the season. But I would say, I think right now, any Baylor fans got to be really excited with the product they've seen on the field. And Baylor's going to be in every single game going forward. They're going to have a chance to win every game, and that includes a potential Big 12 championship. I mean, that's how improved they are this season. It's truly remarkable. And I think, if Mike Gundy wasn't having the season he was having, Dave Aranda would easily be the coach of the year in the conference. It's been very, very fun to watch.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Enjoy your weekend as well. Grayson Grundhafer, Sikkim365.com. Every Tuesday, he and Craig Smoak both put up an hour-plus long Bearcast that's incredibly popular on everything Baylor as well. When we come back, Dan Luss, sports law attorney, I want to look into that Deshaun Watson trade discussion and how that may legally, how that works out. And, yes, even more when it comes to college football and other stories as well. Dan Luss, sports law attorney, next on 365 Sports and Sikkim 365.